Good evening and welcome to our school board meeting for Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. If everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Yetsey, Mrs. McCarthy,
Here.
Mrs. Saxon,
Here.
Mrs. Tamira,
Here.
Mr. Vaca.
Here. Finalization of the agenda. Do you have
Well,
anything to add and or delete or modify?
President Baca, we do have one small change on page 9 under certified staff employment. We have a leave replacement, Gabriella Boatsman, who will be removed from this agenda.
Don't need to do anything because we're removing and then we'll accept the agenda as presented. Outstanding. All right, we'll move directly into the superintendent's report.
Okay, we have 3 quick reports tonight, but very exciting and very good news for our community. The first thing is just that we are wrapping up the year. Our students' last day will be tomorrow. And 15 months ago, I do recall sitting here via Zoom, trying to figure out what we were going to do to make it through this year, and we've made it. We've survived. Our team of teachers and administrators and parents and community have done an outstanding job getting us through this global pandemic, which we will talk a little bit more about in our district goals, but really planning for a semi-normal back to school return in August. So we do look forward to that return, but we made it, and thank you to our board for your support as we again navigated our way through this past 15 months. It's been something. Looking ahead to our district goals, they are relatively congruent with what you have seen in the past. Goal number one is always to look at improving our student achievement. Thank you, Mr. Hieronymus, getting ahead of you. 2 small changes, though, as we go into the 21-22 school year. Keep going. We are going to refine our curriculum in social studies at all levels, looking at mapping and resourcing with our staff. Our staff puts together a team to really take on that task, and that has been led by our curriculum department. Last year, we focused on science, and this year we will be moving ahead with social studies. Not new per se, but we are adding 11th grade to our HTA. Again, exciting for our district as we continue to grow our STEM program. Again, our only public STEM school in Lorraine County that we are very proud of. So we will expand that to 11th grade next year. Goal number 2, to foster positive relationships and collaborative working environment with all employees. We are currently underway with trying to negotiate contracts with our union groups, which has been going very well. And next year, we are going to focus on implementing and supporting inclusive practices that encourage engagement of diversity within our district. Really what that means is trying to make sure that our staff is really representative of our student body and doing our work to intentionally reach out to different colleges, et cetera, to recruit the best staff for the best positions. Goal number 3 is to effectively manage district operations. No major changes this year. Same with goal number 4 and 5. Goal number 4, to ensure fiscal transparency, stability, and public accountability. And Mr. Piscini is going to talk to us shortly about some of that public accountability. Goal number 5, to build upon the confidence and support of our community. Again, just continuing to share our message on what is it that we are doing in North Ridgeville City Schools and making sure that our community is aware of it. Making sure we are meeting the community's goals and making sure that we are telling them how and why and what that looks like here in North Ridgeville City Schools. Completely brand new for 21-22 is to work to create a safe return to the 21-22 school year while closing learning gaps. We do know that this past 15 months has been challenging for our students, and it is incredibly important to us to make sure that we are identifying those gaps and putting in place mitigation strategies to close those gaps. So all of the bullet points under number 6 are brand new. Immediately, we need to screen our students to determine where those holes are in both math and reading so that we can put in place appropriate intervention. We are going to actually implement a period within our daily schedule to be able to provide that intervention time for our students. I'm not pulling them out of core instruction, but rather making sure that each student is getting what they need and not missing additional instruction. And then looking at ways we are providing some of that intervention. If you recall, this past year, we looked at grades 1 through 3, doing an after-school program with those students. We are going to expand that to grades K through 4, and then looking at ways to provide additional help for grades 5 through 12 through after-school help sessions. Again, many students are here after school and have the opportunity to spend some additional time after school, probably easier than our K4 students, and will have the opportunity to find ways to provide intervention. That is an overview of our changes for the 21-22 school year and our district goals. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
When you talked about screening students for the learning gap, what does that consist of?
That's a very good question.
I guess more specifically, how have we identified those students that
Sure.
have those gaps?
So many of the ways that we have been screening our students is through classroom benchmarking. We are currently looking and reviewing ways that we can assess our entire student body upon return. Mr. Pritt, I'm not sure if you want to add to more specific information, but we have worked with our staff over the course of the past 2 years in implementing items like Ames Web, again, to be able to benchmark our students and to be able to flexibly group them so that they may receive the interventions that they need and not just assuming that there's an intervention that they might need. So, Mr. Pritt, I'm not sure if you want to add to that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So K through 8, we're in pretty good shape because we do Ames Web already and we do STAR assessments with our students. So all of those are pretty much in place now. We started the Ames Web piece last year to K through 3. We wrote it up 4 through 8 this school year. So that will be our benchmarking at that. What we're just trying to decide is at high school level. The options for good quality benchmarking assessment aren't as numerous as what you have at our younger grade. So we actually, pupil personnel and curriculum met this morning, and that was one of our topics to discuss. And we're a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger, knowing that we probably have a new principal coming on board here in the next couple of weeks. And we want to gather that input from that person as well as to what that piece is going to be. But we think probably at least 9 and 10 is what we're looking at, is really need to make sure we've got a good foundation on it. So,
Mr. Pritt, kind of along those same lines, can you give us an update on enrollment for summer school?
I can. Enrollment for summer school is much like the rest of the district. It is growing by leaps and bounds. So, as we sit here right now, we've got about 340 students signed up for summer school. Our first session, K through 8, we have halted our enrollment. We're currently waitlisting students because we want to make sure that we have space. That number sits at 162 students from K through 8 currently for the first session alone. And then we have a second session. I expect that over the next week, this number will jump up because that's going to be at the point to where high school starts to register. Typically, what we find is the early registration is elementary because the parents know their students need support. And then it becomes, as the school year ends and we move into that first week of summer, the high school numbers jump up because that's when students realize, oh, I didn't pass a final or I didn't pass a quarter or something, and now I need to make up that credit. So the number currently sits at 340. I expect that number to climb over the next week or two.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, in regards to these assessments and the gaps, especially our incoming seniors, obviously we have credit recovery and all kinds of opportunities there that we'll jump on at the beginning of the school year to give them as many opportunities. And is the state still flexible in regards to state testing and the 4 core groups that students are required to have for graduation, or if they shut that down?
So they give flexibility each year depending on the group and the age of the student is what they've done for the last 2 years. So some of the flexibility that the students have this current year is if the student maybe didn't pass the course, but they passed the end of course exam, we can give them credit for the course based on those scores of having passed. So there is some flexibility and some options that we have for our seniors.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So when we talk about fiscal responsibility, part of that process entails the financial management of debt structure, debt obligations, by taking advantage of certain market conditions that allow us to save the taxpayers of the community money whenever there is an opportunity to do so. And North Ridgeville taxpayers originally passed the authorization for the issuance of a school construction bonds in November of 2013. And that ballot initiative was approved by 52.98% affirmative vote, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount of $58,100,000 for a term of 34 years. Those bonds were issued for the purpose of constructing, adding to, renovating, remodeling, furnishing, equipping, and otherwise improving district facilities and buildings, as well as improving the land for those buildings and facilities. The bonds were issued in 2 series in early 2014. The district took advantage of splitting that original issue into 2 separate issues. There was a 2014A and a 2014B. Those 2014A bonds were issued as non-bank qualified. The 2014B bonds were bank qualified, which means they had they were aggressive interest rates, a lot lower interest rates. In December then of 2017, the district refinanced a very large portion of that original issue from the 2014A bonds. And that created a new series when we did that first refinance. It was a series 2017 bond issue. So we reissue those bonds again at a lower rate. So that was the first time that we did that. That resulted in a gross cash flow savings of $6.5 million. Those series 2017 bonds represented the first time that the original issue was ever refinanced. And then during that same time, the 2014B bonds were not refinanced, as they were originally issued as bank qualified, and they had a much more aggressive interest rates. There just wasn't any savings to be had at that time. In early November of 2017, the U.S. House of Representatives announced plans to overhaul the tax code, and that included, among many other provisions not directly related to municipal finance, the elimination of those advanced refundings. And as such, that remaining 2014A and all of the 2014B bonds could not be refinanced until their prepayment date, December 1st, 2021. So I am now proposing for the board's review legislation approving current refinancing of the remaining series 2014A and B bonds. Currently, we're showing gross cash flow savings of approximately $3 million. That would result in a present value ratio benefit of 23.37%. The normal benchmark for refinancing like this, as prescribed by the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, is that 3% or better represents an active and executable financing. So it's really an opportunity for the district to surpass that benchmark, being well above the accepted industry standard of 3%.
What did you say that percentage was, Mr. Casino?
23.37%.
Thank you.
Now, these savings may not dramatically lower the tax bill, but it is a savings to taxpayers over time. And those are dollars that now taxpayers keep in their pockets and stay right here in North Ridgeville.
Any questions? Mr. Pacini, now this will be our last opportunity to refinance these bonds as the current law stipulates, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So again, this is just an opportunity for the school district to save the taxpayers money, showing fiscal responsibility and giving us the ability to earn as well as maintain your trust. Because there's going to be other opportunities in the future where we're going to have to come back to you based on current funding formulas by the state to ask for more monies. So it's important to us to stay on top of these things, and our treasurer has done an outstanding job of looking at this opportunity to the tune of $3 million, $9.5 million in totality. So again, we will constantly strive to be fiscally responsible stewards of your monies so that we maintain your trust when we come back to the ballot in the future for future monies, whether it be levy or future bill down the road. And it's because of this fiscal responsibility that we hope to maintain your trust. So Michael, Mr. Cassini, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated and the information. And thank you for telling us what abbreviations are. All too often we throw out abbreviations and we all kind of glaze over and smile. And so we appreciate it. I'm sure the public appreciates it as well.
Well,
All right, here's an opportunity of hearing of the public. If there's anybody in attendance this evening that would like to address the board, here's your opportunity.
The ability to unmute your microphone has been turned on. If anyone would like to address the board, please unmute your microphone. With that, Mr. Vaca, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move right into the consent agenda. Ms. Tamira, the education report this evening.
Yes, we do. We have a few items for your consideration under the education report. First, we have an agreement with Murray Ridge. Murray Ridge is a school for students ages 6 to 21 with developmental delays. This agreement is a renewal for the educational services for students who attend Murray Ridge School. Next, we have 6 agreements to purchase curricular materials. These materials are for Scholastic PK curriculum, updated science materials through Savas Learning, social studies materials from TCI, a renewal of our Apex license for the district, intervention materials through Flyleaf Publishing, and an annual renewal of our Ames Web Plus contract. We also have an agreement with Apple to purchase 1,200 iPads to replace devices that are at the end of life. And we have an agreement with Oozable to purchase 1,200 iPad cases and 1,350 Chromebook cases to protect new equipment. In addition, we have the renewal of the Ohio High School Athletic Association 2021-2022 annual membership. Next is a supervised field trip overnight for the North Ridgeville High School girls basketball players to travel to Findlay, Ohio. They'll be going for the Northwest Ohio girls basketball team camp. Also, we have our North Ridgeville City Schools Board of Education district goals for consideration and review for the 2021-2022 school year. Finally, we have the 2021-2022 Unified Parent-Student Handbook. This is the first reading for these items. The second reading and consideration for approval will be at our June 15th regular meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will go ahead and move into acceptance of gifts. It is recommended that the board, let's start over. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following gifts with appreciation. $20 was donated by Jennifer Hicks through Charities Aid Foundation of America employee giving campaign to the North Ridgeville City Schools. $100 was donated by Miss Connie Douglas to the North Ridgeville City Schools towards any outstanding lunch balances for students. Monetary donation of $760 was donated by the Wentz Fence Company to Rachel's Closet Program to help build a shed. We thank our community for their tremendous support of our schools as well as our support of our students. All right, we'll move into the buildings and operations report. There are several items to consider under the buildings and operations report. First, we have reassignment of equipment, which includes 1 speed odometer, 1 smart board, 7 Chromebooks, 2 passenger buses, and multiple outdated library books and various maintenance items that will be used for spare parts or sold or disposed of. Second, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution to purchase 5 72 passenger buses for the upcoming school year through the Rush Bus Center. We also have an agreement with Republic Services for the district's waste management. The services will be through the Ohio School Plan effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Additionally, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve a food service management contract with Aramark Corporation. The contract will be for a period of 1 year beginning on July 1st, 2021 with 4 renewals of 1 year each for a total of 5 years. Finally, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the purchase of district classroom furniture. These purchases include 108 collaborative media tables as well as soft seating media space furniture. This is first reading for these items. The second reading and consideration for approval will be at the June 15th regular meeting. This concludes the building and operations reports. We'll move on to human resources. Ms. Saxon.
Yes, we have several items in the human resources report. 1 support staff resignation, 3 certified staff appointments, 1 certified staff leave replacement appointment, 1 administrative consultant contract, 15 supplemental contracts, 21 non-NREA supplemental contracts, 2 non-represented support staff contracts, 4 support staff appointments, 19 extended school year certified staff contracts, 11 extended school year support staff contracts, 22 extended school year summer school bus drivers and bus aides contracts, 16 interior bus washing contracts, 18 food service workers for summer free meals program, 1 extended service contract, 4 special project supplementals, 12 support substitute contracts, 1 auxiliary service request, 3 unpaid volunteer recognitions, 1 certified staff contract adjustment, 3 certified staff leaves of absence, 5 support staff leaves of absence. This is the first reading for these items. The second reading and consideration for approval will be at the June 15th regular meeting. This concludes the human resources report.
Thank you. Move right in.
One item of correction. Ms. Saxon read that 1 certified staff leave replacement appointment. We did remove that from the agenda
Thank you.
in the beginning. And then I also just wanted to comment about the number of staff for extended school year. In speaking with Mrs. Vance, she was telling me the difficulty in getting staff to work for the full extended school year. And also explained that we have 55 students right now enrolled for extended school year. So while those numbers might look inflated or like a lot, I mean, I don't know if they're inflated because I don't remember what they looked like 2 years ago. Last year was a non-comparison year. So I just wanted to mention that to the rest of the board because Ms. Vance and I had that conversation a little bit ago. So I wanted the rest of you to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to the finance audit report, Ms. McCarthy.
Yes, thank you. We have 2 resolutions with corresponding fiscal officer certificates for our consideration under the finance audit report. The proposed resolutions are legislation approving the current refinancing of the remaining series 2014A, 2014B bonds. I move to approve the finance audit report in 1 reading.
Ms. McCarthy, second by Ms. Tamira. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Tamira,
Yes.
Mrs. Yetsey, Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. We'll move into human resources report. Ms. Saxon.
Yes, we have a few items in the human resources report. 2 administrative staff resignations, 1 certified staff resignation, 2 administrator appointments, 1 special project supplemental, 8 students for summer employment program. I move to approve the human resources items in 1 reading.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Ms. Tamira. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mrs. Tamira,
Yes.
Mrs. Yetsey, Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca, if I may.
Absolutely.
Just want to say congratulations to our two people in attendance tonight that received new administrative contracts. So congratulations to both of you, Mr. Britt, Mrs. Anderson.
And as we wrap up this meeting this evening, to the superintendent's remarks early on, to our staff, thank you for getting us through COVID. Administrators, teachers, you've done an amazing job in these uncharted waters. And I know I've said that before, but seriously, we can't begin to thank you enough. We got little to no direction, and what direction we typically got from the government, quite frankly, was useless. And here locally, we did what we could with that information and really made it work. To the community, thank you for being patient and supportive. We tried to get out the information as quickly as possible so you could make decisions in regards to your own families. I know sometimes the decisions we made weren't always the decisions you were hoping for, but our intent was always the same, to do right by our students in this community and try to keep everybody safe through this pandemic. I'm grateful that we're coming out on the backside of this, and I'm really looking forward to the start of the school year. And congratulations to the class of 2021. You got through it. You got quite a future ahead of you in spite of how your senior year looked. So again, congratulations to the outgoing class. It is recommended that the Board of Education adjourn this regular meeting.
Moved.
Second?
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Ms. Tamira. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Tamira,
Yes.
Mrs. Yetsey, Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Have a good evening, everybody.